This month at Grit and Flow, we're focusing on issues that surround autistic women in our communities in support of Women's History Month. I myself am an autistic woman. My name is Nicole Seward, and I've had the wonderful opportunity to speak with a few fellow autistics about their experiences with life and in the workplace. This is only a quick snippet. If you want to learn more, we posted a paper online. The link can be found in the description. Enjoy. What was pregnancy and childbirth like for you, and how, if at all, did they impact your work performance or your availability?
So I was an older mom, or I am an older mom. So I actually had to go through fertility treatments to be able to have my son, and went through 4 rounds of IVF. And if anybody knows anything about that, you have to do daily shots. You have to go in regularly for monitoring and blood work and all of that. And again, very supportive. My company actually has really great fertility benefits, to the point that the fertility clinic that's like one of the best in the country was like, wow, you have good insurance. So it was out of pocket. It was still expensive to a certain extent, but it was reasonable because and we've got adoption benefits and all kinds of things, because they really want us to be able to bring our whole selves to work and be able to be who we want to be. And so, it took 4 rounds. I ended up I was a high risk pregnancy 3 times over. And so I had tons of monitoring. Like, the one good thing about being high risk is you get a lot of ultrasounds. So it was really cool to be able to see how my baby could progress so much compared to what other women get to do. And it was actually at it was at what was supposed to be my last ultrasound to check head circumference, because they thought I was going to need to do a C-section because of that. And sure enough, I go in for the ultrasound, and the neonatologist was like, "You're all out of amniotic fluid. I just called your doctor. You need to go to the hospital right now and have your C-section today." And it was like, this was about 19 days before we were his due date. So it was 19 days before his due date, about 11 days before when we were planning on doing the C-section. And so I was like, oh, I was going to go back to work and have another meeting in an hour. So this flurry of emailing spreadsheets and PowerPoints to people to say, okay, here's this, and this. Sorry, I'm done. I'm out of here. See you in May. And so, yeah, it was, but they were totally supportive, and, very grateful, and that I got everything over to them, and I got to the hospital. I had a birth plan that specified not just what you would normally think needed to go into a birth plan, but I said, I was, up front, I have autism. I may not act or react the same way people normally would when I'm in pain. And it's not that there's something wrong, I just don't. And I have sensory issues. So if you need to touch me, use your whole hand. Don't touch me with just a fingertip, because that feels like you're stabbing me with pins and needles. And I will not react well to that when I'm already in a heightened anxiety state. And, so I talked about a few of my different sensory issues. The picture of me in the operating room holding my son for the first time, I'm wearing noise canceling headphones. And like, to me, that is like just the epitome of an autistic mom giving birth. Like, I knew I was going to have a lot of anxiety, and I didn't want to listen to the chatter and all of the noise of the equipment clinging and clanging and everything. If they needed to tell me something, I could still hear it, of course, but I just, to me, that was just my way to be able to have a little calm. And the nurses, it's funny, my partner overheard them in the hallway, like, we didn't expect her to be this normal, because I disclosed that I had autism. And I think that is absolutely hysterical, because they have probably helped dozens, if not hundreds, of autistic women give birth. They were just undiagnosed, or chose not to disclose because, you know, they were afraid someone would take their kid away. And so I think I thought that was really funny because you know, there's just nothing out there for OBs. There's a recent study out of Drexel they're working on, and they're finding that OBs across the country say we want to know more about autism, you know. So
I think too, that's really interesting that the last point that you shared, you say that, you know, there's a great likelihood that people have been dealing with autistic women all along and not known. That seems to me like it might be a little bit the same in the workplace. Like maybe bosses are not knowing that they're working with autistic women, but they are, you know. It's a good point because we are out there and we may not be as obvious. All people have these different ideas of what autism looks like, and it's people like yourself that help sort of rewrite what that stereotype might be.